8 villages are confirmed to go to the election polls next month, and 17 candidates will battle it out for the common role seats, with near all from Alofi South. According to the Chief Register of Justice, Justin Kamupala, at conclusion of nominations today, he can confirm the villages and numbers.
For the common role seats, we have 17 candidates who will be contesting the common role seats for this general election. In terms of the villages, 8 villages will be going to the polls this election. Those villages being Alofi South, Alofi North, Hakupu, Lakepa, Mutalau, Toi, Hikatawake and Makefu.
The 8 villages are Alofi South with 2, Hakupu with 3, Lakepa with 2, Mutalau 2, Toi 3, Hikatawake 2, Makefu 3 and Alofi North 2. For the villages, Alofi South, the candidates are Mr. Charlie Tongahai and Mr. Dalton Tangilangi. Hakupu, Honourable Mitsita Yangimene Vivian, Mr. Michael Jackson, Mrs. Domalua Jackson. For Lakepa, Mr. Kupa Mangatongia, Mr. Tongalilo Cornelio. And for Mutalau, Honourable Bill Mutfo, Mr. Maxio Ioane. For Toi, Mr. Dion Taufitu, Mrs. Lilivika Liumahito Muimatangi, and Mr. Hamo Kaulima. For Hikutawake, Pamela Tongiakona and Mr. Opili Talafasi. For Makefu, Mr. Tofua Puletama, Mrs. Tulele Hemama Tongia, and Mr. Charlie Tohwaka. And Alofi North, Honourable Vainga Tukitonga and Mrs. Rosalind Tafatuhipa. Candidates for the common role seat sees the majority from the Alofi South electorate, with 12 out of the 17 nominations. The list of candidates for the common role seats: Mrs. Lofa Ricks, Honourable Toketalangi, Mr. Willie Saniteli, Dr. Asupulu, Mr. Langa Lavini, Mrs. Joan Biliamu, Mr. Stan Kaloni, Mr. Maru Talangi, Honourable Terry Coe, Mrs. Cecilia Talangi, Mr. David Poihanga, Miss Esther Pavihi, Mr. John Siakia, Honourable Tongia Sioniholo, Mrs. Mahitoya Heko, Mr. Vilikaiua Vilikai, and Mr. Crossley Tatui. Even though the official release of names is out, candidates has 7 days before polling day to decide whether to continue or withdraw their names from the election list. That is the 30th of April. The island's general election date is the 7th of May. Last month's taro shipment finally made it to New Zealand this week, almost 1 month later. The status of whether the taro shipment is in good condition has yet to be confirmed, but private consignment has already been released by MAF. The boat delay has raised concerns from the business community, losing out on opportunities to make sales in shortage of stock due to an inconsistency in shipping service. Some businesses with special stock for Easter are once again disappointed, and this latest delay also means that equipment needed for the Niue Arts and Cultural Festival next week will not arrive on time. The Foreign Pacific was originally meant to arrive in Niue on the 18th of April. However, it has met further delays and only just arrived in New Zealand this week. At this stage, the Foreign Pacific is now expected to arrive into Niue on the 27th of April. Last week, Niue government signed an agreement with the New Zealand government. Honourable Premier Toketalangi said he is pleased the agreement has completed with an expectation of an increase in development within the tourism industry. According to Honourable Premier Toketalangi, the signage between the two governments last week was for $10 million that has been in discussion for the development of the tourism industry, with $6 million to upgrade and expand Matawai, as well as the hotel's loan of $2.5 million to the Niue Development Bank. The shareholders of Matawai Resort was also bought out last week in the government's developmental vision, then sold to the trust set up by the New Zealand government to manage the $10 million development. Unfortunately, Premier Talangi was not able to disclose the amount the hotel went for. Premier Talangi said New Zealand was also given an option to establish another area for a hotel. Instead, the New Zealand government preferred the existing hotel to upgrade and develop. Other projects for part of the $10 million will use up is the private residents who have put up their properties as part of government's expansion. A cool $1.3 million will be released to that project. The new upgrade of the old Rix's building has taken up some of the funding, and a proposed $300,000 will go to Aniki. Unfortunately, the Aniki Motel proposal is still on hold. As the island prepares to head to the polls in 2 weeks, a new group has emerged this week with a campaign meeting held at the Pacific Way Bar on Tuesday. The Democratic team, led by Mauro Talangi, has started campaigning, saying they have 6 candidates vying for the common role and a few contesting the village seats. The aim of the team is focused on making today better than yesterday and tomorrow better than today, for all to develop a better Niue. And to end our news bulletin for tonight, 2 pilot projects from the United Nations Development Programme Fund started their community projects with a hope of increasing sustainable living and other focus on small community living. Tuapa, who decided to utilize its funding in renewable energy, is now increasing its development with 10 vegetable and edible tree farms. According to the committee of the Tuapa Plan, the focus is to improve the lives of its residents and to make sure it is sustained. That is always the downfall, but developing familiarized projects should be beneficial. Tuapa will host their Market Day next Monday afternoon with the result of its sustainable campaign with a celebration of food and products for sale. An invitation is extended to all on the island. That's our news bulletin for tonight. And you're all invited to the Hikutamake show day this Saturday up north. Everyone's welcome. And that's our news bulletin. Good night.